Hi, welcome to the first ever episode of The Weekly Wave. I'm Matthew Lyons,
And I'm Aaron Johnson.
and our guest here today is Head of the History Department, Mr. Jason Scott. How are you?
Okay, I'm doing great, guys. How are you?
I'm doing all right. How you doing?
I'm honored to
pretty
be
good.
here on the program. Hopefully, this is the first of many.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
Of course.
All right. So recently, today is day 33 of the government shutdown, and on Monday, President Donald Trump he proposed a plan to the Democrats, a $5.7 billion for the border wall, 3-year protection for the 700,000 DACA residents, 3-year protection for immigrants with expiring temporary status. That means people in the country for work or for jobs. And then funding for drug detection technology and humanitarian assistance, and funding for more Border Patrol agents and immigrant judges. I know that's a mouthful, but do you believe this will actually work?
So I don't. I think it's been made pretty clear by the Democrats that they're not really going to negotiate from a standpoint of anything that involves a border wall. So the likelihood that that would get through the House at least is pretty slim. The Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has also indicated through his actions that he doesn't likely believe this is going anywhere, given that he's scheduled 2 votes today that are completely different bills to deal with the government shutdown, completely separate from what Trump presented. So I think those all kind of add up to a pretty strong likelihood that that plan, as you described, is not going to go too far. But I think, from Trump's perspective, what it allows is for him to go to his supporters, his base, and say that, look, he's making efforts to try to compromise and things like that. So that's, I think, probably more what his intention was than actually maybe creating a deal that he believed would go anywhere.
After just celebrating Martin Luther King Day, knowing what he fought for, do you think building a wall is a step backwards in any way?
So, yeah, I mean, I think the likelihood that Martin Luther King would have supported any kind of border wall or restriction for people trying to make their lives better is pretty unlikely. His son this weekend was quite upset with Vice President Pence when he said that Pence invoked Martin Luther King's words and bringing the country together, talking about using that sentiment to build a wall. And Martin Luther King Jr.'s son said that his father was more of a bridge builder as opposed to a wall builder. So that I'll let him speak more eloquently on it than I will. Certainly, I think it also speaks to the connection of the two men and their ideals, given that most past presidents have had participated in Martin Luther King's service days. President Trump has yet to participate in a service project on these days. He came out and spoke on Monday for a few minutes at Martin Luther King's memorial. So that was his acknowledgement of the day. But so no, I don't see a lot of similarity in or a lot of likelihood that Martin Luther King would have been behind a border wall.
All right, thank you so much. And I have one more question for you. Government shutdowns have happened before with President Bush. How do you feel that this government shutdown is different?
Sure. So it's the most obvious way that it's different is the length. This is the longest government shutdown in history. I think you said it today is day 33 of the shutdown. So in that sense, it's the longest one. It also is a little different in the sense that certain shutdowns have had either a broader or less broad impact on the number of people furloughed or working without pay. So this one it's technically a partial government shutdown. Some federal employees are working and getting paid. Some federal employees are furloughed, so they don't work and they don't get paid at all. They're at home. And then little less than 400,000 government employees are working, but they don't get paid. So it's confusing. That's kind of the nature of government shutdowns as to why do they happen and where they come from. I think stems from the kind of broken nature of government budgets at this point, in the sense that Congress's main responsibility one of their main responsibilities is to pass a budget every year that has to get signed by the president. Since the 1970s, it's been pretty difficult to pass an entire budget for every branch of the government and every element, every agency of the executive branch that all parties can agree on. So instead, what they've done is created what's called continuing resolutions. So a continuing resolution could last 30 days, it could last 1 year, where they basically say, here's the money for this and this and this agency, and the money is allocated. And what happened now is the reason the government shut down was the reason that the government shut down is with the current continuing resolution expired and they didn't have a new one. So basically, these agencies that are partially shut down don't have funding. So the Homeland Security, or not Homeland Security, but Border Patrol, for example, they don't have money in the budget to pay their people, but they're required to work. So they come in and they're being delayed with their paychecks. And same for other branches, so like the federal prison system. The IRS recently got called back to work so that people can start getting their tax refunds, but they're not getting paid. So what's most likely to happen to end this is they'll create at least a very short or medium term another continuing resolution. So what's most likely to happen, I would guess, is they'll make like a 15 or 30 day continuing resolution, open the government with the hopes that they can negotiate on the border wall. That's what President Trump wanted to, he was on television saying that he would be happy to shut down the government for border security and the wall, and the Democrats were not going to give him money to do that, so the government is where we are today.
Yeah.
Thank you. Do you think social media has allowed students to follow politics more, and have you seen a peak in the interest?
Yeah, so in terms of student civic engagement, this is something that I think all students should, take an interest in, and is certainly important in all of our lives. It's something as a history department, we always try to teach civic responsibility and, the history of civics in our country and what the rights and privileges that we have as American citizens. To speak specifically to social media, it's kind of a double-edged sword. Social media presents never before seen access to information and communication and relationships between people globally, which is incredible. But social media also allows bad actors to, spread misinformation and lies that people can potentially fall victim to. And so those two things kind of tie in well with what we're trying to do and make, civically aware and knowledgeable people that can identify what is misinformation versus what is stuff that is relevant and helpful to them. One piece of advice that I like to give anybody for social media or reading the news in general is, find a person or people that you can trust and stick to that as opposed to the latest headline grabbing, thing that might flash through in breaking news on CNN or Fox News, and those, those places have their agendas and things that they're trying to accomplish. But if you can find, a newspaper reporter or, other kind of journalist or somebody that you trust, I would go to that person before going to the latest trend.
Yeah, obviously. But thank you so much for your time. It's been awesome having you on, learning a little bit about the government shutdown.
Yeah.
Is there anything you'd like to say before we leave?
Yeah, of course, like any other people or any other person, I would hope that the government can open up soon and the parties can come to an agreement to at least, work out their differences about the border wall, while at the same time putting people back to work that have nothing to do with the border wall and whose families are, legitimately suffering from this shutdown and people missing rent payments and struggling to support their families when their job certainly has nothing to do with border security or the border wall. So I hope that all the parties can get together and make an agreement. Somebody's going to have to compromise. And, it's going to hurt on all accounts, but that's the nature of doing business in a democratic nation. So I hope that they can work that out and put these people back to work.
All right, thank you so much.
All right, guys, good luck. I hope this goes well for you.
And welcome back to the Weekly Wave. I'm your host, as always, Aaron Johnson.
And I'm your host sometimes, Matt Lyons.
Here today we have junior captain Bobby Malloy. How you doing, Bobby?
I'm feeling great. How are you guys?
Good.
I'm
thank
doing
you.
good. Yeah.
That's great.
13 goals and 2 assists on the season.
Wow.
Team MVP and a unanimous South Shore League All-Star. That is insane, Bobby. How was your season?
It was pretty good. I had a lot of fun. The team's awesome. Everyone's been supporting me through all of this, and I don't know. It's just been a great season. Even though we didn't do so well, it's always been fun just hanging out with my friends and stuff, and making new friends, like the freshmen coming in. It's always fun.
Yeah. And how is being a captain this season?
Captain was really fun. I got to be a leader, and being a leader is like the best thing. I know when I was a freshman, the seniors were always supportive, and like they were such role models for me, and I always looked up to them like they were the best, and so I just wanted to be them. And being a captain junior year, it was a accomplishment that I always wanted. And you know, some people think like captains always boss freshmen around, and sometimes I did, but it was just a lot of fun, because I know some of the freshmen and sophomores, they like just look up to you, and being that role model and getting more kids like involved and like just excited about the sport. It's just a bunch of fun.
That's great.
How has your team helped you achieve this goal?
My team's helped me a lot, from coaching to the actual team. Like my teammates, they've always been super excited, and there's some rough times always, but you know, they always pick themselves back up and get right back into it. And then when we're on the field, they know my style of play. I'm the quick one. I run up the field a lot, so they always know like, oh, we can just pass it right up the field, and hopefully Bobby will get it. Like they just know that, and the chemistry's great. And then coaching, Coach Casely and Coach Claus, they have been so supportive through all of this. They work me so hard on and off season, and it doesn't matter what they do. They've always been supportive, from going to weight rooms and stuff to like telling me I should get good grades and stuff. It doesn't even have to be soccer. It's just been all supportive.
All right, that's great. I said it in the beginning, I'll say it again, 13 goals. That is insane. How did you obtain such a lethal scoring ability?
Training. I trained so hard over the summer, going to the fields every day for 3 hours or more, and it was just a lot of hard work. I wanted to be that number one player, and I know there was a lot of good kids on the team, and so I just thought, if I train harder than them, I'll be able to do what I've done. And it paid off. It's just all the hard work that you put in. And during practices, during the season, it's also that, like, you can't just be messing around during practice. You got to show it to the coaches, and then it'll show up on the field.
Okay.
You mentioned already how your team has helped you, and also the coaching staff. Is there anyone else outside of that has helped you achieve your goal and motivating? 13 goals, I mean, must have had some help. But.
My dad, he's been my coach all my life. He has been so supportive, and it would just be every day he would tell me what I need to fix, and then we would fix it. And he's always been like the best supportive person ever. Him and my mom, they've been amazing. Like my mom always goes to my games, every single one I've seen her at, and it's
awesome.
It's just a great time.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for being on the show. Is there anything you want to say before leaving, or are you all set?
Just for anyone who is like looking to be that role model, or just looking to get better, you just got to put in the work. It's all about making sure you have the right mindset and making sure that you don't give up. Like whatever you do, don't give up. I sure know that I have not given up.
Yeah.
And I'm looking, like I've seen all the things that I've done wrong, and I'm looking at them and trying to improve on them already. So it's just, you got to work hard on it.
All right. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank
It was
you.
lovely having you.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Hi, everyone. I'm Aaron Johnson, and this is a new segment we like to call AJs List. It's recapping all the sports from the weekend. And now, today, we're going to be focusing on the Pats game. And obviously, they beat the Chiefs 37-31 in overtime. Like, what were we expecting that? Like, really?
No. There was no other option.
I know. One bit I want to focus on is Tony Romo's professional commentating. He was predicting every single play that Brady would audible on. So Brady would cut the play, and Tony Romo would be like, "Oh, he's motioning right." And when the defense would switch, Tony Romo knew exactly what Brady was doing. It was absolutely unbelievable. Tony Romo has so much knowledge from being a previous quarterback. It's great. Now on to the actual game. Brady had 2 interceptions, 1 touchdown. Patrick Mahomes had 3 touchdowns. Stats-wise, it looks like Brady didn't have a great game, but Brady had an awesome game. His 2 interceptions, although, went to the hands of right outside linebacker Reggie Ragland, and the other one went tipped off of Edelman's hands into the safety, Daniel Sorensen. Now, even though I'm a Pats fan, Daniel Sorensen had a great game. Many sacks, 1 interception, 1 takeaway. It was great. Anyway, they ended the drive 31-31. Actually, ended the game to 31-31 in overtime. The Pats had a perfect overtime drive, always converting on 3rd down, and it was the icing on the cake, the cherry on top. Rex Burkhead running into the end zone. It was beautiful, and this is the 3rd straight year for the Patriots going into the Super Bowl. I feel like this year will be redemption for what Philadelphia did to us. Thank you so much.
In entertainment this week, box office. Number 1 was M. Night Shyamalan's Glass, grossing over $40 million.
Ooh.
Next, that's a lot. Did you see Glass?
I didn't see Glass. I kind of want to, though.
Yeah, I saw Split, and I was a huge fan of it. However, the ratings were lukewarm for this one.
Yeah, well, I saw Split, too. I wasn't really a big fan of Split.
Oh, really?
It just seemed like some of the camera angles were unprofessional. The storyline was a little bleak. It was all right for me. It wasn't the best.
I think the icing on the cake for that movie was James McAvoy's acting.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That was really what made the movie. I mean, switching through 24 different personalities seamlessly, it was fantastic.
How do you even remember 24 different personalities?
I do not know. Next is The Upside, starring Bryan Cranston and Kevin Hart, which grossed over $15 million. After that is Aquaman, which grossed over $10 million.
Aquaman's still in the box office?
It is, yeah.
Wow.
Next is Dragon Ball Super Brawly. Have you heard of this one?
I've never heard of that one.
I have not either, which grossed over $9 million. And then it is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which grossed over $7 million.
Wow.
Have you seen any of those movies?
I have not seen any of the movies. I really don't go to the movies often. But I'm still surprised that Aquaman is in the box office. Like, didn't that come out in, like, mid-December?
Yes, it did. Yeah. In other news, the Oscar nominees have been released, and Aquaman has become Warner Brothers' 5th billion-dollar picture. That is a lot of money.
A lot of money. What would you do with the $1 billion, Matt?
That's a great question. I would probably... invest all of it into the Weekly Wave budget. What about you?
I wouldn't invest it all in the Weekly Wave. Maybe like 50-50, have my own personal life, things like that. But, yeah.
That is your week in entertainment. Thanks for watching. Tune in next week to see an all-new episode of The Weekly Wave.
And make sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and now our new YouTube.
We'll see you next week.
Goodbye.